Hey kids, Singlentine here with a review of The Divided States of Hysteria, Chapter 2, Issue 2. And I'm going to go old school on this, meaning I'm not going to go just page to page. I'm just going to talk about the book. All the pages are here, and so I have to say parental guidance is suggested. This is not a book for children. Also, spoiler alert, because all the pages are here, and if you don't read the book first, you're going to get the story. That being said, you could watch the video with the sound down, come back, get the review. That's up to you. And let's start off with the cover. I think this is not a bad cover. It's not great. It's subtle at the very least. It shows a city on fire. Basically, in last issue, a nuke went off in New York. So not only that, but with the symbolism of the flag, it shows a country on fire as well. And we know that Howard Chaykin, through his own words, thinks that leadership in this country is going to destroy it. Now, I like this cover a lot better for one reason and one reason only. It's that it has shock value, and that's all it's good for, is the shock value. The Pakistani man hanging with his genitalia cut off. That is exactly this book. See, the first one, that kind of lies to us and tells us there might be a story about something. But this is not what the Divided States of America is about. This book is about shocking you, and that's it. The book opens up basically with a drone going over the now radiated and destroyed New York City, and basically assessing the problems and what could possibly happen if New York was destroyed. This is basically just touching upon, well, it's the financial capital of the world, yada yada. And we did see that after 9/11 some stuff happened. So, score one for Chaykin. Yet quickly, as we get more into the main character, it starts to dissolve, because basically we get the same dialogue about 4 times in a row, and that's basically, hey, you screwed up. I know I screwed up. I'm going to resign. You bet you're going to resign. I can't believe that happened. All the while, the blue boxes are talking about completely different things. So you're getting two different stories. It's not really meshing. The blue boxes you see on the page is basically Chaykin being Chaykin. He steps on a soapbox. It's a very soapbox issue, which is kind of sad, because the rest of the book, or at least this part of the book, is not bad, because he's dealing with what could have, or what could possibly happen, and it's not too terrible. It's got a sense of people working together. However, and at least some that are trying to find redemption in their own mistakes. And so you get a description. You get a description of the chaos that could happen. You get a description of the fact that it's not just the blast, but what happens after. Unfortunately, it breaks down very quickly after that. This is just more of the same, hey, I'm sorry I screwed up dialogue. And we do meet some of the people who are responsible for the bombings. And none of them, let's say, are of the descent of the people whom are bombing things these days. You don't want to perpetuate stereotypes, so you perpetuate the stereotypes that's going on in every narrative in every book now, because they don't want the actual stereotype of the people who are actually bombing. Just saying. Is it me, or using American bombers and not Islamic bombers these days in fiction kind of stereotypical also? So we're off the whole hashtag not all Muslims lesson that Chaykin wants to teach us, and we're on to private prisons would be a bad idea lesson that Howard Chaykin wanted to teach. Now, I am not taking a stance with this. I'm just saying blue box means soapbox. That is all. This book is incredibly preachy. He, on the other hand, takes the stance that you are either agreeing with him or you are wrong. And also, Chaykin takes every opportunity he can to throw out a racial slur or a homophobic slur or an anti-Semitic slur. It's really, he does take the very popular leftist stance, leftist not liberal stance, that if you are not like somebody in the most superficial way, then you must hate them. That is how the far left sees it, not liberal, and that is how Chaykin sees it. Judging by his writing, I have to say. So Chaykin goes on telling two different stories, one with the blue boxes, the other with the pictures. They have very little to do with each other, and we are basically seeing what looks like the orchestrators of the attack as they begin to turn on each other and they start mistrusting everybody. I want to read this part because it's amazing how full of himself Chaykin is. He says, ask any European or Asian about America, and the image that comes to their mind is typically New York City. But the truth is, Americans hate New York. And here we go. I love this part. They despise and mistrust its apparent inclusiveness and its diversity. Yes, because every other place other than New York City is all white, and we hate everybody who is not that way. Good Lord or fucking heaven. Come down to Florida, mother, and see the diversity down here and how we're living. We don't give a shit. Take your New York racism away for a while. And I'm sure there's a lot of states that can say the same goddamn thing. This pisses me off so much. And they loathe those so-called New York values. See, once again, they are the only ones who have any kind of... God damn it. That loathing is only exasperated by the impact on American lives, from the trickle-down disaster of economic calamity wrought by the total destruction of the nation's financial hub in New York. The country's infrastructure, deeply frayed as it already is, suffers massive unexpected damage. Yeah, okay. Man, he must have been masturbating while he was writing that. Then Howard Chaykin goes off on another rant where he's just basically tossing around a whole bunch of racial slurs. He loves doing that. I think it's worse than, say, like Tarantino, because with Tarantino it feels like the characters would naturally talk like this. This here, it seems like they're talking like that because the script told them to. I like here how he says everybody loves Chicago, but then lists all the bad things about Chicago. Frankly, I've been to both. I'm not impressed. I'll stay down here in Florida by the beaches and Disney. Yeah, we're the penis of the country, and we have so many insane people that we actually have the most criminals on World's Dumbest Criminals, but we also have the best roller coasters and theme parks, so, you know, trade-off. And this entire page is about how the Civil War never ended. Sure, it fell asleep for a while, but it never actually ended because there is racism. No, there's actually racists, but racism is pretty much dead. The systems aren't racist anymore. The people are racist that are in this, or some of the people are racist. And that is where I think a lot of people don't see it. And Chaykin and the people like Chaykin who see black people only as victims are part of the problem. For 8 years, we had a shining example on the hilltop that black people, white people, Puerto Rican, Asian, doesn't matter what race you are, you can achieve in this country. And that's not the message we got. And that's the message that Chaykin wants to avoid. The message that you are able to do anything you want no matter what. All you have to do is work hard for it. Do the right things for it. Make the right choices for it. Instead, the Chaykins of the world tell anybody who is not white that they have no station in life. That it's the white people who control their destiny. And what's worse is even BLM these days look to white people to change things for them instead of changing things in a positive manner for themselves. And even they don't seem to want to look for a positive way to change things. Instead, they seem violent. And listen to my words. I use words like seem because that's what we're shown. That's what we know. Maybe there's a peaceful branch of it, but we haven't seen that. So anyway, let's continue with the story. Such as it is, and I'm not going to spread this out anymore, especially in this section, because it's basically off-panel, a riot at the prison started, and now everybody's killing each other. And basically, it's a big old, if you are one, you hate everything that's not you. That's what this whole thing just turns into. It's really, to me, it's a disgusting display, because Howard Chaykin has already stated that this is how he sees America. So this is not just, oh, okay, well, these characters, every character is supposed to represent somebody from that particular race. So and that's what bothers me. Now, if he stayed out of it, this may have just been a story. And it just may have been a story about the characters themselves doing the things that the characters do. But when he inserted his own politic in it, and when he said flat out that this is how he sees the state of America today, then he put us into these roles as well. And that is when I have a problem, because I understand that people have their prejudices. Everybody does. Some of them are just, smart business, and some of them are incredibly wrong. However, overall, people don't care. It's not that they're good or bad, it's that they don't care. The rent is due on the 1st, and it doesn't matter what the color, religion, or sexual orientation of the next person is, because it does not change the fact that the rent is due on the 1st. That being said, there will always be racists. We're never going to get rid of them. Not if we want to keep a free society. And that's the ugly truth. You take the good with the bad when you have freedom. And for a review that started off complaining about this book was very preachy, I feel myself have become very preachy. So I've got to cut this off right now before I get on a soapbox. I am so going to get a lot of arguments and comments, I'm sure. But anyway, that's, what, on that point, I have to say this book has succeeded. If he wanted to start a conversation, as bad as I think this book is, as bad as I think his politics are, and as bad as I think he thinks America is, he did have me talking about the issues and not just the book. So it's successful on that front. I myself have a more positive outlook on America. I just think, at the very least, we don't care. At the most, we actively try to make things better for other people. Now, we might have different feelings and thoughts on how that would happen, but I think that ultimately we want everybody to be free. We just have different ideas on how to go about it. And if you don't mind me indulging in one more bit of preachiness, I think we go off the rails when we assume that the other side is completely evil just because they disagree with us. Now, that makes a very strong point to the fact that I don't see my brother as evil. He's liberal, I'm conservative. However, when you get to Westboro Baptist Church versus BAM and Antifa, that's where I think we start to have a problem. When you're looking to hurt somebody physically because they disagree with you, that's when it gets out of hand. And I am so preachy right now. I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Howard Chaykin once again addresses people about the book and what he feels and what he thinks, and he addresses the controversy, and basically he says, I'm rubber, you're glue, what bounces off me sticks to you. Now, he does make one good point, and that is that people are saying he shouldn't publish this, and I disagree with that. If he writes it and he finds a publisher, by all means release it. There's an audience for it, and we shouldn't silence people just because we disagree with them. I am a big believer of sunlight is the best disinfectant. If you don't like what Howard Chaykin has to say and he's willing to say it, it's great for him to put his words out there, so then, like I am doing with this video, I can put a counter argument out there. And once again, this is my voice. And I've got to say, this is my voice. Like, my brother's more liberal than I am by about 2,000%. So he might actually have a different take on this. He might just say, hey, Aaron, you're full of shit. This book was dead on, and, go through and give a whole different review. I don't know. But yeah, I would never want to silence Howard Chaykin. So that point he's got right. The letters page here is well balanced in the fact that they've got one negative letter and the rest of them just drop to the knees to get a taste of Little Howie. But that's my opinion of the whole thing. Did you read it? What do you think? Did you love it? Am I way the freaking hell off? I know I got into a lot of politics, and politics is divisive. I tried to keep them off this channel so much, but this book brings them up. So like I said, it's a success in that area. I can't argue that. If it has us talking about the book as well as the topics, then it succeeds, at least as that goes. If you decide to unsubscribe because of the politics, because of the fact that I said that, anybody can be anything, and it's not the white man keeping everybody down, it's the choices they make, by all means, tell me why that's wrong before you unsubscribe, or before you dislike even. Tell me why I'm wrong in that. I would love to hear a very good argument against that. And if this upsets you, well, I've got a video coming up that's going to make you just outraged. I do talk about the history of comics, and the history of America is checkered in some places. On the other hand, if I didn't piss you off and send you away, by all means, click like, share the video if you think it's worth it, And if you haven't already, click subscribe. I forgot what that button was called. And the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Don't forget to head on over to the Patreon page or VidMe. Both of them have a tip jar there. And drop $1 in the till. I have patron-only videos coming. Every Thursday we do History of Comics, and I do a supplement video for the History of Comics. Last week was the very first comic book ever made, and this week I'm going to be talking about the grandfather of the comic book, as well as other patron-only videos throughout the week. But for now, thank you very, very much for watching.